Happy Friday. Welcome to Catching Up with Namhla Ndlovu. It's a great pleasure having you with us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are, of course, watching the best when it comes to black entertainment. And here are your headlines for today's stories. I'll represent Zuma for free, human rights attorney Richard Spoor says. 3 candidates are recommended for KwaZulu-Natal bench. Hawks confirm probe into Sekgwale's SRB fraud and theft claims. Tshegofatso Pule's family shocked by news of previous pregnancy with Shoba. SA tourism industry wants explanation for US travel warning. Decorator Dlamini appointed chair of the University of Pretoria Council. Kubayi Ngubani, tourism sector to fully recover once enough people have been vaccinated. And our last story, Mkunu describes this year's wage talks the most difficult South Africa has ever faced. Let's take a short break and we'll be back with your main stories. Welcome back. You're watching Catching Up with myself, Namhla Ndlovu. Thank you for tuning in, and please remember to send us your suggestions and your comments. We definitely love and enjoy hearing from you. And now on to our main stories for today's bulletin. I'll represent Zuma for free, human rights attorney Richard Spoor says. Jacob Zuma lawyers have withdrawn ahead of his corruption trial next month, but the former president has at least one offer to be represented for free. South African human rights attorney Richard Spoor took to Twitter to offer his services to Zuma on a pro bono basis. That means voluntary and without payment. When approached for comment on whether he was serious about the offer, Spoor told Times Live, "I do not expect that he, the president, will take me up on the offer. But yes, I am serious, and I do not doubt that there are many other law firms and counsel that would be delighted to take on such a high-profile and important case." Our next story, 3 candidates recommended for KwaZulu-Natal bench. The 3 candidates recommended for appointment to the KwaZulu-Natal bench are Advocate Bruce Bedison, Advocate Carol Sibia, and Attorney Vusi Nkosi. Bedins has been an advocate at the KwaZulu-Natal bar for at least 21 years. In his interview, he said he had never taken silk because of the proliferation of silks, and the benefits of not doing so was to keep your fees affordable and to make yourself readily available so that people get good value for their money from a senior junior. And then Sibaya, who has been an advocate for 13 years and has been responsible for mentoring many young black legal practitioners, is now serving as an evidence leader at the Zondo Commission inquiry. On to our next story. Hawks confirm probe into Sekgwale's SRB fraud and theft claims. The Hawks have confirmed that it has been investigating a case of fraud and theft linked to the so-called Heritage Fund. Businessman and African National Congress ANC veteran Tokyo Sekgwale held a lengthy briefing on Thursday where he attempted to connect the dots to claims he made during recent ENC interview that he had funds that had been stolen. The Hawks Katlego Mogale said that a case was opened a few weeks ago. It is too early in the investigation to speculate who the role players are, and it is not the norm of the DPCI to reveal the names of suspects or persons of interest before allegations are properly investigated, and such suspects have been before the court. Tshegofatso Pule's family shocked by news of previous pregnancy with Shoba. Tshegofatso Pule's family said they had been left emotionally rattled after disturbing WhatsApp messages revealed that the young woman was pregnant for the 2nd time with Ntutuko Shoba's baby. The state presented cell phone records to the Rudiport Magistrate Court on Shoba, who is accused of being the mastermind behind Pule's murder, was applying for bail once again. The body of the young woman, who was 8 months pregnant at the time, was found hanging from a tree last year. This matter was was postponed for next week's argument. And then South Africa tourism industry wants explanation for US travel warning. The South African tourism industry has questioned why a travel advisory has been issued from the United States against traveling to South Africa. The United States Department this week issued a level 4 warning. The reasons stated included the coronavirus pandemic, violent crime, protests and strikes. Tourism Business Council CEO Tifiwa said that the country did have problems, but that the US equally has similar types of issues in their own country. Chivenga said that South Africans did not restrict citizens from going to their country. And then decorated Dlamini appointed chair of the University of Pretoria Council. The University of Pretoria, otherwise known as UP, has appointed Kuseni Dlamini as the person of the Institutional Council. This appointment comes at a crucial time where businesses, institutions and nations are facing economic headwinds exacerbated by the coronavirus pandemic. South Africa is also dealing with the pressing demands in higher education institutions across the country relating to funding, student debt, infrastructure and safety of students in campuses. As the Council, we are committed to working with relevant stakeholders to collectively make headway in finding lasting solutions to some of those issues. And then Ngubani, tourism sector to fully recover once enough people have been vaccinated. Tourism Minister Mamoloko Ngubani on Thursday said the sector would only fully recover once enough people were vaccinated against COVID-19. Ngubani briefed the media in Johannesburg on Thursday on the department's recovery plan to revive the sector. The tourism industry has been battered by restrictions imposed as a result of COVID-19. Ngubani said to make matters worse, the US had placed the country on its red list, which discouraged Americans from coming to our home soil. The association of the COVID-19 variant with our country has had a negative impact on our country's brand, and we are seeing more and more countries putting us on their red list, specifically because of the variant. And then Mchunu describes this year's wage talks the most difficult South Africa has ever faced. Public Service and Public Administrator Minister Senzo Mchunu has described this year's wage talks the most difficult negotiations that the country has ever faced. Has urged government and labor representatives to put the public service first and not treat each other as adversaries. His talks got off to a tense start earlier this year as government declined to raise workers' wages in 2020 as part of the 2018 wage agreement. The bad state of the economy, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the need for drastic changes in the public service are just some of the reasons Mchunu listed as factors that have made this year's talks the most difficult. And that's all that we had time for today. Make sure that you keep tuned and keep watching the best when it comes to black entertainment. My name is Namhla Ndlovu. I'm bidding you farewell and of course have a blessed weekend. Do stay tuned for more news around the world with my esteemed colleagues. From myself, Namhla, have a very lacquer weekend. I bid thee farewell.